Jesus said this. He said the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. Okay, that is the most important thing. So that means, to me, one of the most important things we could do is to learn about God. And this is important to me because I realize that a lot of times when I meet people that have, that are atheists or agnostics or they're confused Christians, a lot of times it's because of their incorrect theology about who God is. Islam is based on a faulty view of God. Buddhism, Hinduism, New Age movement, even Judaism is based on an incorrect and incomplete view of God because Jesus said, I have come to show you the Father. So if you don't have a correct view of God, your theology is going to be messed up. When you're young, you have this Santa Claus kind of view of God. You know he's there, somebody's taking care of you, but you never have seen him, and you're a little confused by it. And at some point, when he doesn't bring you the pony that you wanted, you start to have doubts. And it's at that moment, as we become adults, that we can go one of two ways. We can either believe that God really is good and he really wants the best for us, or we can see God as this personification of rules and regulations, this God who is making a list and checking it twice and going to find out who's naughty and nice. And all of a sudden, when you go that way, you have a dreadful idea of God. And I would say that most of the world has that dreadful idea of God. So we start with today what I believe is the most important issue when it comes to understanding who God is. And I say that because Jesus told us when we pray, we should pray to our Father in heaven. And the problem is, the Father is not always an easy thing to deal with. Muhammad did not know his father. He passed away before he ever got the chance to know him. So as he's writing the Quran, he has that in his brain. And I need to be clear, all right? I'm not going to blame ISIS and terrorism on the Quran because then we'd have to blame the Crusades on the Bible. There's an incorrect way to interpret a whole lot of different things, okay? But your interpretation of what God wants will affect everything else that goes on. And if your father, was somebody that you didn't have a relationship with, you're going to have a view of God. If your father was mad and angry at you all the time, then you're going to have a really weird view of God. That was Hitler. I mean, his dad was mean to him. And so, he writes Mein Kampf. If your dad is not around, you write the Quran. If your father is a great rhymer, I guess you write Green Eggs and Ham. I don't know. It affects everything. If your dad is awesome, you write Life on Mission. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. My dad is awesome. And by the way, Dad, those glasses are coming back, so that's really cool. You're a hipster now. He just needs a goatee, don't you think? I obviously don't remember those days, but I have and had a fantastic dad. The problem is many people don't. I'm reading a pre-release of Lee Strobel's new book, The Case for Grace. He's going to come and preach here the week after Easter. He was an investigative reporter with the Chicago Tribune whose wife became a Christian. And he was an atheist, and he said, I'm not letting this happen. I'm gonna dig into it, and I'm going to prove it wrong. And by doing that, he actually proved it right and became a believer and is now a pastor and wrote The Case for Christ. His new book, The Case for Grace, is all about understanding grace, and that's going to be our series after Easter. He's going to come and kick it off. But Lee was an atheist, as I mentioned. He said, that what I realize now looking back is the reason that I had the reason I was an atheist is because I had an incorrect view of God. And part of the reason I had an incorrect view of God was because I had a bad relationship with my father. His father acted like he didn't want Lee. And if that's how you grow up, then your view of God is going to be messed up.